This is the Outliers Edge podcast, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity by taking them to the edge of their comfort zone so that they can lead us to the edge of what's next. I'm your host, Niiamah Ashong. Let's do this.
Oh yeah, we're in the game now. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like really singing right now. I'm like, let me just start this off like fully with y'all. Hi, my name is Niiamah Ashong. I'm the founder of Outliers Edge, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity. I'm gonna say that again this time, but I usually slow down when I say the next era of humanity. This time I'm gonna slow down earlier. Hi, my name is Niiamah Ashong. We're a leader and founder of Outliers Edge, where we champion the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity. Today, I get to play with one such leader. Her name is Tina Collins. Tina, it's great to be in space with you. And most importantly, it's great to I'm glad that I get to share you with my world. I think that I think you're phenomenal. And I'm really excited for them to get a glimpse, get a little taste as to why that is. It's good to be in space with you.
Yeah, me too. This is the society of mutual admiration.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. Tina, I like to start off these conversations by just checking in with what's real with me about why I think you're awesome, And so I'm going to share that with you right here. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I do know that I am going to say something. All right. And then afterwards, I'll let you share a little bit more about you. All right. So why do I think you're awesome? This is who you are to me, Tina. What I the thing about spending time with you, Tina, is that there's a couple different things. One, I just feel like I'm always met. I'm always met, and what I mean by always met is you're someone who plays a beautifully large game in the world, and at the same time, without humbling yourself into small potatoes, you create enough space for others to come and play their game right alongside you. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, I don't know where we're going to go, but it's going to be one of the most interesting conversations of the entire day. And not only is it going to be interesting, but it's going to be I'm going to leave with a new insight or more than insights. And I'm going to probably change the way I'm operating in the world on a fundamental level, right? And it's not going to feel like coaching, and it's not going to feel too heavy. It's just going to be being in your presence and listen to your stories and listen to the courage and vulnerability in which you choose to live life and just and love life, because you love life. And that's really, really that is super inspiring to me. What you do and how you choose to love life. I'm oh, it can be that good. That's right. Oh, it could be that good, And one of the things that I really appreciate about you is just the amount of I will say range and agility that shows up in space in you. We can bring in depth, we can bring in laughter. We were talking about good to great right before I came on here. I said I'm doing brood, and we turned that into this whole this whole thing. I have a post-it note. This is the last post-it note that is on my desk, and it's because of something that you had said to me. So when I think about you, it is just every moment with you is special. And what's lovely about it is that the colors of the palettes in which you use to paint that special moment are so vast that it's enriching and inspiring and expansive all at once. I am so honored and privileged that both have you in my life. And I'm so glad to make sure that people in this world, in my world, get a chance to know you. So thanks for being here with me.
Oh, thank you, Niiamah. I mean, thank you for seeing me the way you do. That's you. That's who you are. And I am just as grateful and honored to be part of your journey. I mean, it was sheer magic that our roads crossed, and I am forever grateful. Forever grateful. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, you have this, I gush about you all the time. So, you just have this beautiful light that just comes across, and the soul finesse of your voice, your beautiful smile, your ability to create space and presence. I mean, I can go on. I can go on. You're such a special human to me. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, thank you for that. Like I can feel where I'm like I want to take it in. I can feel where I want to resist against it. And I just wanted to say thank you. Like let me take that in. You know, I share and I do this year because I want to remind myself like who I'm with. I can get lost at times when I'm trying to lead the outliers, you know, and lose the fact that I'm actually like, it's not, there's no future person, there's no other thing. It's like I'm with a phenomenal outlier right here. You want to know what leading the outliers is? Like watch us in space with each other, see how we are. And like, and I can lose that at times, you know. So just like it's
Mm.
really good to just ground into that here. So look, I shared who you are to me, and that's for me to make sure that I don't miss you. You know, I don't miss you in as I think I'm out in the world doing other things. I'm here. Can you share with me, just like for anyone else out there, and then afterwards it's gonna be just me and you here, like tell us a little about who you are professionally, personally, whatever you want to share with us. Just like tell us about like what you want us to know about you.
Um, well, when I was born, just kidding.
Mm.
We won't go far that far back.
I'm like, if that's what she wants us to know, like, all right,
No,
we're going there. Good.
no. Professionally, I spent about 26 years consulting globally. I was part of some really incredible teams that accomplished extraordinary things, including saving lives in Afghanistan. Yeah, I've been working alongside some of the greatest humans, and also some of the worst, which is really fascinating to me because this contrast has allowed me to really dig deep. And as you mentioned earlier, I really love to dig deep into performance. What helps people up level, what's keeping them stuck, all that kind of stuff. And I've had a lot of knockdowns, and so this drive that I have to just keep going and not buy into narratives, and just carve my own path allows me to then serve. And now I'm coaching, so I mean, I sometimes it feels like consulting a little bit because I think when I was consulting, I was doing a lot of coaching and I didn't realize it at the time. But I've completed an extensive coaching program for over a year, and now I realize that the best part of my consultancy was actually coaching. And so, as a coach, I still do a lot of the same things. I help leaders and their teams outperform and basically live up to their potential. And it's just the greatest work of my life. It doesn't feel like work. I can't ever imagine retiring. I mean, if I'm not doing this, then I don't know what I'm doing with my life. That's the truth.
That's cool. That's cool. You know, there's I get excited to play with all of this here today. I get excited to you talked about I can't remember the exact word you talked about. You talked about like carving your own path, and it was so funny for me because like right after talking about carving your own path, we use like the box labels of like consultant and coach, and you're like, I do a little bit of like, I'm like, yeah, because that's your path, whatever. Like
Yeah.
there are times where you leverage the tool of coaching, and you're getting stronger and stronger and sharpening that tool of coaching. But what I get about you, and I think that's kind of my experience of you, it's like everything is on the table. I love the fact that I can talk to
Yes.
you. In most conversations, you're like, oh, I have a term for that. I call it this. Here goes like a worksheet that I use. Here's how I'm like that. Like, it has always felt so appropriate for the conversation. And it's always been like, and it's something that actually has inspired me a lot, which got me back. I was like, I want to be in back of my thought leadership. I'm tired of just saying what other people call things. Like it is time for me to step back into my own space.
Oh,
I'm used to
cool.
people coming out and saying, Niiamah, I have, and then they repeat this made up word, this word that I made up. I'm like,
Yeah,
indeed, you do have that. Let's work
that's
through
right.
that.
Yeah.
So like so I think about that when I think about you, because it's like there's so many of these tools that are here, and when you say you carve your own path, I get it. And it's not just like, it's not that it feels like the Tina Collins path. Like that's
Hmm.
the beauty of it. And
Hmm.
I'm actually calling out right now in my own mind, just seeing that little distinction. Like this is the difference for me between walking someone else's path really well and carving your own path. And one of those things, one of the ways that you may know that is like you're coming up not only with your own thought leadership, but you have your own tools, you have your own ways of describing things. And it's not this expert calls it this. You're like, I'm the expert, and this is what I call it. So like we're gonna go in a little bit here, but like I love that. I love that part about you here. Like tell me a little bit about like when I say this to you here, like what comes up for you here. We'll go in a different direction, but since it's in the room, I want to just like, let's see if we can riff on it for a bit.
I think, I mean, immediately the first thing that I think about is the word that I trademarked. That, I think that was one of our very first conversations. And I think like I remember you being tickled by that I had trademarked a word that comes from the 1400s. I love vocabulary and words not just in the English language. I love all words. I mean, there are languages that describe an entire feeling, and I love that. I wish the English language was more adaptive to that. But yeah, I trademarked a word that that was commonly used in the 1400s to describe the space between where you are and where you want to be, like that gooey, sticky place. And I was like, that's my jam. That's what I do. So yeah. So that's
yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like we're just wrapping up a month of outrageously own your October, outrageously own your outlier, right? And that to me is like, it's like an outrageous ownership of you. Like, that's my jam. No, literally, I've trademarked it. It's now it's my jam.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I get so tickled, because I'm like, okay, like here goes someone who gets that. Who gets what it's like, no, I can own this part about me. I can own this here. And if this is my space, and this is my domain, and this is my word, I get that. No problem. That's that's cool. I claim it. We're good. So let's play on with this here. I said when we got on here that I was like, I really want to, like, it's Outliers Edge. I want to play on our edges, right? And there's been a set of questions that have been running through my mind for a while. I was like, oh, this would be really fun to explore and see. And I want to bring it in. I think today we'll play around in this space here. So when I think about like edges, I think about a lot of edge overall. Typically, I focus on the outlier part in our conversations, right? Today, I want to focus on the edge part. And there are three edges that I want to explore today with you. We'll see if we get to all three. But we'll start off one at a time. All right. The first edge that I look at, so when I think about Outliers Edge, the reason I call it this is I'm like, oh yes, because it's like, I believe most people think that being an outlier is a problem. It's something that it's just like, it's something to be forgotten. And it's something to be like, kind of like discarded, because it's like, okay, yeah, like that doesn't really fit the data. How, like, let's focus on where the normals, where the average is, where like I don't want to get too much to my stats background. So I'm trying to like not use like too much of those words.
But I could nerd out on this. I mean, I did performance management for years. So
okay. All right. So we could go there. We're not going to, but we could.
Yeah.
But like most people see it in that way, like something that's out of the norm, and it's like, well, don't worry about that one. Like they're just that is out on their own. But for me, I see like being an outlier as like a competitive edge, right? As a thing that says, that's like, okay, since I'm out here, I figured out something that has gotten me results different from everyone else, and guess what? Like it didn't take me that much. It didn't take that much effort. It's just something that it's just here. I get disproportionate results from it. So like, I want to start off here with just like exploring what your edge is when it comes to like your competitive advantage, or your co-creative advantage, right? But like, tell me here, maybe you can illustrate this through a story here. I'd love for you to share with me one or many of the unique advantages that you possess, and how you like bring it to life to like continue to get like outlier kind of results for yourself. So maybe take me through a story that you're like really proud of, or like you're like, okay, this one really like leverages it, and then we can pull out from there.
That's a great question. When I think of outlier, I'm very visual. So I see, a herd of cows or a herd of animals in a field, and one just off to the side, and we don't really notice the cows. Well, we notice the group, but we definitely notice the one that's on the outside. And, that's really what an outlier to me is someone who is willing to separate itself from the group in order to explore and have their own adventures and possibly be seen in a different way, or not necessarily that they don't need the group, but that they're willing to explore those outer ranges. A story that I could share with you. So I
Can I just say
am,
really quickly on that?
yeah,
I want to get into that, but I want to give some space around that there. Firstly, like, thank you for saying that. I'm like, I should ask more people what they think of the definition of the outliers, right? Um, I've never thought of it in the animal like kind of context. Some of the things that I like about that more than just dots on a graph is that like that cow that's out there is still a cow. Like
yeah,
it could just walk right back in. It could be like with
yeah,
everyone else out there, but it doesn't need to. I love the it's chosen to go out and do that. And I think sometimes like the way that the outliers pose or the way that people look at it, it's like, oh, it means that I'm different. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're different. It might mean that you've chosen something different. It looks like a cow is a cow is a cow, you know, but this one has chosen to go and do something that like different. And I
yeah,
feel like that feels really lovely to me because I'm not trying to create superhero, like a super image of being an outlier. I'm just like, yo, you're you, but let's not pretend that you're trying to hang out with all the cows in the same place, or all the other
yeah,
humans in the same place in this case.
yeah.
So that's a rich like visualization for me.
Oh, cool, cool.
Thank you for that.
That's so cool.
All right, share your story. I am curious now.
So I guess one of the things that I love about myself is that I have a really good sense of humor, especially about myself. And because, as I mentioned earlier, I've been doing a really deep dive on myself for over 30 years. I mean, I swear to God, I've been working on this PhD in Tina Collins for a really long time. Um, that I bring that humor and that shamelessness to my conversations, whether it's with individuals or teams. And I think that level of vulnerability and that it's wrapped in humor. I mean, I almost have people in stitches within the first 60 seconds. It, whatever anxiety or concern they had coming into the meeting, just puts them at ease. And then they're able to hear differently because they know that, like, you know, I'm not all jokes, but I'm here to, like, let's just relax a little bit. This is not a scary place. No one's in trouble. We're actually going to laugh and have fun. And in the process, we're going to do some really cool shit. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to say that?
I can't be on a podcast where I'm like, hey, come be
Okay.
you, but you have to be you within
Okay.
these parameters.
Okay.
It's like it's like I'm like I have to walk the talk.
Yeah.
So keep
Okay.
going, Tina.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, and I also know myself. And like I said, I mean, I really do know myself. I get a kick out of my strengths because I know also what the shade, what's in the shade of those strengths, the good and the bad. And so I present all of that when I come to an engagement, and it allows them to just be themselves and also embrace both the good and the bad because it's all rich. It's all richness. So,
I love hearing this here. So now I'm gonna ask you, like, make this real for me. Take me to a time where, like, either from the onset of something or like in the middle of something, like a time that like really where you were able to bring that the edginess, the edge of humor to help like reset or get people on the path that would open up things again. Could you share a story to whatever extent, if you need to change a couple particulars to make it something that can be
sure.
shared, feel free.
Absolutely. So, in the latest team that I onboarded, it was a virtual meeting, and because they're in a different city. Prior to the meeting, I had held conversations with each person in the room so that I could get to know them individually before getting to know them as a group. And so I already had some framework, some knowledge, who was really funny, who could take a joke, who was into sports, who was into pottery, all that kind of stuff. And so when I showed up at the meeting, I told them a little bit about myself. I explained to them, almost everyone, when I first come, they're terrified because they know that there are changes coming, but they're not quite sure. I share with them the naivete that I used to have when I first started my career, thinking that I thought everybody was super excited to see me because, ooh, change is coming. But that's my strength. That's my personal strength. I love, like, I would flip the table. Let's start from scratch. That's like my comfort zone. And it took me a while, admittedly, to learn that that's actually terrifying for a lot of people. And so I let them know that right off the bat. I'm not going to flip the table right now. There's going to be times where you love me. There's going to be times where you hate me. But in the end, we're going to arrive at a much better place. So, like, let's just go through this way. And when I'm onboarding them, I use examples of each of the people that are in their room. And sometimes if I know that they can take a joke, I'll actually use them as props for jokes. And then the whole team just busts out laughing because there's intimacy created, like, immediately. That anxiety, the fear goes way down because they know, okay, we're going to have some fun. And we do. We have a lot of fun. I mean, with this one team in particular, I'm now in person because COVID has changed in Ontario, and I can show up now in person. And the joke now is that I'm the best paid donut deliverer in Canada because I always show up with treats, and sometimes I just sit in the room and I listen. I'm no longer having to engage and be part of the conversation. I just sit back and let them do their thing, and I observe, and it's just awesome. And so, of course, we joke that I'm Canada's most expensive donut deliverer, and it's such a privilege. Yeah, I just love it. So yeah, it's just this, playful, humble, yeah, just me.
Yeah, well, like there's
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's funny because, like, there's a part of me that would go, I hear Jess, I'm like, oh, don't diminish yourself, and there's another part of me that's like, but it's just normal. Like what I'm getting from you is, like, you're not putting on any extra airs. You're not like I gotta be Tina Collins today. Like all right, Tina, let's go. It's like I bring donuts, and I bring humor, and I get us into a place where we can actually get the work done. And I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And eventually we get to the place where, like, they can almost run themselves. And I just create the space to make sure that they are having the conversation that they wouldn't normally have.
Exactly. I mean, this is the goal, right? I don't want them to need me. I want them to be able to move on without me and be amazing without me, and be able to look back and go, shit, man, that was good. That was good stuff. And I think you kind of summed it up. And I was thinking this as you were saying it, is that, I really don't take myself seriously, but I take my work really seriously.
Oh, I love that. Tell me a little bit about how that distinction shows up for you. And then just because that feels really important.
Well, I take the work really seriously.
Oh, you know what, I would ask?
Yeah.
Tell me about a time when you didn't do that. Like I get that distinction of like taking the work serious, not taking myself serious. I started this whole thing off with a song, right? But I'm like, I did that for a reason because, like, it in and of itself may change someone's day with just hearing that, Tell me about a time when you weren't doing that, when you took yourself seriously.
Okay.
And how
Well,
that got
I've
in the
got
way.
an example. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first started my career, it was sort of an accident that I fell into consulting. I had entered a competition with my school, my post-secondary school, and I won the competition. And it just so happened that one of the judges was the CEO of the company that I had pitched for. And this was all unbeknownst to me. And so he hired me right on the spot, right out of school, to work for him. And I had never worked for a consulting firm. I didn't know what consulting was. But if you asked me back then, it was like, yeah, I know exactly how to do this. And so I had registered a business that was like this really, like, tough, strong name because I wanted to appear solid and, I wore gray suits. Back in the 90s, it was all about the heels for women. I mean, I really played the part, even though I was always much more comfortable in comfy clothes and, flats. But I played the role, and I would show up, and I was not nearly as interesting, or, my personality to come out because I was so worried that they wouldn't take me seriously or my work seriously. because when I was younger, I couldn't, there was no distinction. It's just me. Like, this is it. And, and it took me years to start to untangle that and to show up more as myself. And it was really when I was in my 30s, I went through a big life change, and I did stand-up comedy as a way to um, release some of the stuff that was inside of me. And so I entered a stand-up comedy show, and the only audience that I had to sort of practice my material was my colleagues. And so they had to get to know this really outrageously different side of the person who had been showing up for them for years. And I was terrified because I thought, oh, they're never going to take me seriously ever again. Like, this is going to change everything. And actually, just the opposite happened. I was shocked at how much more invested and how much more they trusted me and respected me, even though I was saying things that were not really respectful. But it was all honest and very well. I thought it was funny. I ended up winning a stand-up comedy contest, and it's funny because my now husband was in the audience at the time, and so every time now, like, this was over a decade ago. Now, whenever he says, "Oh, you think you're funny?" and I'm like, "No, I know I am." Like, I won a contest. So
the proof is there. Yes.
yeah. I mean, you were there. You saw it.
And you think I'm funny too. And let's yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely like the beginning of my career. The two were, I thought I was the product, and now I show up. We blow minds. We do really cool work, and I'm goofing off the whole time. And it's a magical thing, really. I'm having the most fun. I think I've said that to you before. I'm having the most fun.
This is like you said something right here that I think is that I would like to like dive in on, and then we're gonna keep playing around. You said I thought I was a product, and I would love to just like explore that just a little bit more. Like you're giving examples around here, but like explore this a little bit more because there's a lot of people in my world here that like go off and they say, okay, now I'm gonna like do my thing out in the world, and they feel like it feels very much like people are judging me. Like I've never sold myself in it before. It's so odd to sell yourself out in the world, and it's like you're not doing that. You aren't the product. And
right.
Actually it showed up. Someone gave me feedback on something inside of my business where she's like, hey, just so you know, I got something from you here. This doesn't really feel like Niiamah here, and I wanted to share it because it's like he's a person, not a product.
That's right.
And I had to like take a screenshot and share it with my team because I'm like, this is it. This is part of the distinction here. Like be the person. So it just so happened that in the last 24 hours, like something with that same kind of theme showed up. So I'm kind of curious about how you see that distinction there, because I don't know, we can accelerate. I think it can just really just plant some important seeds right now. So can you just share a little bit about the distinction between you as a person and you as a product?
Yeah, absolutely. So me as a product, that's the thing that I do. I listen deeply. I ask some super prickly questions. We dive deep. These are the things that I do. There's massive transformation that's happening. Who I am is just a source of levity, peace, comfort, hope. That's who I am. And I think people, and fun. And I think people are able to then do the transformation work, do the hard work, because I'm having fun. Honestly, I think if people see you having fun while you're doing really tough work, it's less intimidating, it's less scary, it's more possible. Because most of the time my clients say, this is unbelievable. I can't believe I've gone through this. And the whole time it just felt like you were holding my hand. Actually, they often tell me that they have a tiny Tina on their shoulder.
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's just like having fun with them while they're having to solve their tricky questions, their difficult moments. Because not everything has to be really heavy.
When you talk about that, it makes me think about I often say I like to do hard things the easy way.
Yeah.
Like it still needs to get done, right? But it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in pain around it, like
Yes.
so
Yes.
I'm hearing a bit of that. Okay. So that also now it takes me to a different place here. We've been like we're exploring your edge, kind of like what gives you that co-creative edge, that unique advantage of yours here. And one of the things that I've found is that like while this edge might give you an edge forward, it oftentimes these things are double-edged, right? That if we don't
Absolutely.
like, as much as we're going forward out there, it's also an edge that's kind of coming back. So can you talk a little bit about like the shade or like the dark side of like of any of your edges? You brought up the edge of humor, you brought up also the edge of like not taking yourself too seriously, so on and so forth. But can you share some like the dark side of that? I'm really curious about that for you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the dark side for me is presented in the sense that, I can't control what other people think. But in doing that, I can't control what other people think. And so, if I'm goofy and I'm myself and there's someone who doesn't like that, or they don't take me seriously, or for whatever reason they are not buying it, there's nothing I can do about that. And from someone who used to have a lot of anxiety and wanting to control as much as I can, I mean, that's the beauty of getting older, is that you sort of just put those things down. Like, you can't control this person's thoughts and feelings, and that's okay. So I would say that's like part of the dark side. Is sometimes you're lonely, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's a ton of anxiety because you're just not sure, you're not controlling all of the moving parts. And that, for me anyway, is really scary. It can be. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but I would say that for me is probably the scariest part. It's just I struggled to belong for my entire life, and now that I'm close to 50, I think that I probably was never meant to belong. I think I was always supposed to be just sort of on the outside, and that's okay. Like, it's a comfortable place for me now because there's so many beautiful things that come from, like, perspective, and I think that's one of the beauties of being a coach, is that you have perspective from for people's lives, for the team, that they don't have themselves because they're in it. They're stuck in the trees.
Yeah, you had me when you said like I struggled to belong. Like I know you said things afterwards, but like that to me was one of like the big things for me. I know at the end of the day, however I choose to frame it, whether I'm helping people be seen, be celebrated, and valued for who they are, I'm championing the leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity, so on and so forth. All it is for me is I'm just helping people like move from a place of feeling lonely to feeling a place of belonging. And that lonely might be like how a high performer is fitting in and keeping the parts of themselves that like that that they don't think would jeopardize their current
Hmm.
position from actually allowing them in all the way. Like there's a whole spectrum of it.
Yeah.
And so like when you say belonging to me, like that's just a word that I just don't like to like just gloss on by. I might want to talk about every edge in the world, but when we come to elements of like of how we can bring in more belonging into who we are, or the impact of that, I just like to slow down a little bit, bring us back to that spot. uh Spend a little bit of time here. It might be 30 seconds, it might be the rest of our conversation, but like what's important to you on your heart right now around belonging, your journey around belonging? And you know what, maybe I can ask it in this way, because I do want to look at the next edge, right? So we look at the edge in your competitive advantage. Now we're going to look at the edge of your comfort zone, right? The edge of your like the horizon, the edge that like of like what's here, right? And so let's look at it from this way, from like where in your life right now are you like, what's the edge that you're currently like up against right now, and like how, and I'm curious about like how belonging might fit into it. Doesn't mean that it is, but I think I would be interested in exploring both of those things simultaneously if we can somehow make that work.
Yeah. So I would say currently the edge in terms of belonging is that I have really, really big, lofty vision, dreams, and um, this desire to always have a place where I belong may not exist. I may have to create it. And it's both comforting and weird because I've never done it before. And two, I've always looked externally for places to belong. And now I'm having to look internally because this is my home. And I'm the only one who can help me do all the things that live up here and in here. I mean, obviously, I've got amazing resources and friends and colleagues that I can lean on, but ultimately, I mean, I still have to do the work. I still have to ask. I have to put myself out there. There's lots of, inherent psychological risks involved and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I would say that the belonging piece for me is actually it's the reverse of wanting to belong. It's sort of like watching the crowd and just choosing to take a step out and take another step out and take another step out until I have the perspective and all the things that I need in order to do the things that I want to do.
So Tina, I really appreciate this here, like, because the like for me, the conversation was like, we're here, we're floating. It's like we brought up belonging. I was like, we got to go deeper on this here. I get curious right now to the extent that you'd like to share, like a part of me is like very curious about the vision that you have right now, like the things that like where this is. And I recognize why, like, I want to know for my own curiosity. But there's another part of me that's also in this space of what if there are other people whose visions like belongs adjacent to yours,
Yeah,
or and they just don't like, and we just don't know, right? I'm really curious about
yeah,
belonging, or like how we create spaces of belonging. And I think one of the ways that we do it, especially as leaders, is through our visions, to like give
yeah.
people a place to be able to like say like that, I'm about something, I'm about something larger than myself or something like that. So if it feels good to you, and it doesn't have to feel good, you can just be like, no, I'm still working on this, whatever it is. But like, if it feels good to you, I would love to like celebrate and be in the sharing of said vision of yours at this time, or one of the visions that really excites you.
The current vision that really excites me, that creates belonging for, I think, and I think you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people I think that share this vision that I have, which is to create a center, yeah, and it could be global, of leadership excellence. It's not just training, it's not just development, it's not just coaching or consulting. It's a place where they come long term to invest heavily in game day. I mean, Olympic athletes don't train for a year and end up on the podium. It's hours and hours of committed, dedicated time spent to honing their craft. And um, it drives me a little crazy when if you Google leadership training, there's over 1 billion articles on what leaders need to be today. And I think, well, that's great. That's great information, right? I mean, they're going to read it and they're like, okay, I have to be a good listener. Okay, so what's a good listener? You could read a couple articles about being a good listener, and then you go and practice it, and you feel miserable because you don't have the right ecosystem to say, oh, right there, here's the nuance between good listening and great listening. And here's how you can sharpen that, and how's that here where you can deepen it. And so I really, my absolute desire is to create a space where people who are really dedicated to being the world's best leaders, and I mean that not from a place of like I want to lead people from ego, but like again, it's an internal process that I want to be the best leader for me, my family, my community, and your community might be your organization, but they are coming to learn and craft their leadership practice so that they can be. So when it comes to those really difficult decisions in the boardroom, they're ready. They're making good decisions, and that's the difference between, for an athlete, it could be between, stretching here or stretching there. Like this is where it happens in this community. of leadership developers. Mhm. I think it's what the world needs. Honestly, I really, truly, profoundly believe that. And again, I'm not talking about ego here leaders. I'm talking from a place of servitude. It's I can't say it enough. It's what the world needs.
I feel it. I believe it. You know, and like, thank you for choosing to be like the person that's outside and like I could write another article on leadership, but like we don't need any more of that.
Yeah.
Right. What I'm hearing from you is like what we need is a chance to be able to like be so well practiced in it so that when something comes out of left field, like it's like, oh, I've done this, or I've seen this, or I know the tools, or I have the people, or I have like it's practical because it's been
Yeah.
practiced. Am I
That's
getting into some
right.
of this right here?
Exactly. You know, I mean, your employee comes in and they're upset. They've got something to say, you know, and usually the response is usually from a not a great place. It comes from like it's not a response, it's a reaction. You know, they're upset, oh, problem solving mode or whatever it is, rather than just taking a breath and saying, you know, what have you come up with? What's the solution? And allowing for that space to create other leaders, because that's what the best leaders in the world, what they're doing is creating great leaders. Great leaders can walk away from whatever they're doing and everything just continues harmoniously. And that's what the world needs.
I'm nodding and like my nod to me is so loud. I'm like, yes, absolutely. Yeah, you really count on something. I think I say something along the lines of nowadays, like theory is easy, application is hard. You know, and there's something in it there's something in it that also goes in where people will say they'll talk about the hard skills and they'll say like I need help with the soft skills, and it like and in my mind I'm like, when I think about it, I'm like, the reason you need help with the soft skills is because someone inappropriately named it the soft skills when there's really the hard skills and the harder skills, you know.
That's
It's
right.
like
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you say that, Niiamah. It's funny you say that. I mean, I get really prickly when people call it soft skills because it's essential skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
like, and you're right. It is the harder skill. Hands down. I can easily put together a road, easily, piece of cake. I know exactly what resources I need, how much money it's going to cost, how much time it's going to take. I can help you do that. That's a piece of cake. Getting your team to work optimally, oh, bonne chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Like bring it in. Yeah, I'm glad that you shared this vision here, and I'm glad like because there are parts of it like energetically I just felt really really drawn in to it. There's mentally I know like you know I'm like, yes, creating spaces of practice. I actually just think it's just the direction that like more and more of the kind of like the learning industry is going to be heading into if they want to stay relevant, right? Because information is done. We get it. Like we have access to information. What we don't have access to is experience, you know. And what
Yeah.
I'm hearing is
And
like you're like, yeah, go.
it should be in formation.
Mm.
You are in formation of greater leadership skills, of greater listening skills, of greater critical thinking skills. In formation.
I like that. I like this kind of stuff. I like typically like it tickles me, and I'm like, I never even saw that. Like that's what's happening for me. I'm like, oh, she just did it. If you ever watched Arrested Development, that was like a Gene Parmesan moment. I'm like, Gene Parmesan, information, you were here the whole time. Information. I love that. I love that. I'm playing with this year. So like I just took note of where we are in time, and from that place here, I just think like we're probably in a space where it's like it's the right time to start closing things down from a time perspective. But I want to make sure we keep the windows open to like have you like just be in more conversation and be in more space here. The next time you do something, it might just be like finding like I'm just so aligned with the vision that you have of giving leaders the space to actually practice what's real and what will actually show up for them. That like there's a part of me that wants to go and like have another conversation because I just know that we can keep that going. But there's another part of me that's like, wait, both of us believe in the power of actually having the experience, having the practice in there, and like just being in the experience of what it is that we want to create. So like let's keep talking here. I feel like there's definitely more to be shared. And I'm wondering like maybe we take this into a different modality so that we can like continue bringing that vision to life, because it as much as it's your outlier place of like I have to go create my own belonging. I hear that you talk about that vision and I feel so much more belonging with you than everything. I'm like, everything makes sense to me. And I also feel like, oh, when you're bringing in that level of this is a serious mission, you know, and by the way, we can have fun as we're creating it and in the experience of it. And I take the mission so seriously that like, I understand that like, I don't need to be there as the leader. Like it should be able to hum on its own. Like all those things, like I see how the various parts of the way that you see the world and choose to look at the world and choose to be in the world really can come together to create something that the world really needs. And I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on. And I will say this to you, you are the person to bring it to life. The world has been the world has been craving it. Like it is needed in the world. And I'm so glad that you see this vision. And I'm like, just so you know, I am like, we'll have more and more and more conversation spaces and experiences ourselves around it. But like, yes, there's a deep resounding yes that comes through me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love that you're with me.
Oh, most certainly. So let's play this. We'll play in this way. We'll start wrapping up with two questions here. One, for anyone who wants to continue down the journey with you, who wants to deepen their experience with you, or is like, I belong with that vision. Let's talk. Right? What's the best way for them to extend and continue the conversation with you?
Well, my social media handles. So I'm tinacollins.ca because I'm in Canada. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Tina L. Collins, and I think my face is I look the same on my face or in my profile photo. On Instagram, I'm tinacollins.ca. Actually, I'm just tinacollins.ca everywhere because I really believe in making life simple, and so that's the easiest way to find me and reach out.
All right, perfect. Make that happen, y'all. Tina, we're gonna conclude this particular conversation with one last question. And the question I have for you is this. This question is just for you. You've had a lot of wisdom over your years, and in this moment right now, you have all the accumulated experiences that you've ever had up until this point, literally in this moment. If you were going to leave a message right now for the future Tina to come back to, where that Tina might be going on and like the vision might be in its creation, so on and so forth, and she needs to be reminded of something that you in this moment can share with her, what's the message you would leave her? I call it the time capsule question.
That's such a great question, Niiamah. That's really powerful. I might steal that, actually.
Give me a second. It's abundant. Take it, use it, go.
What my future self needs to remind my current self is.
Nope. What your current self is leaving here in this moment for your future self to come back to later on. It might be 5 years from now. It might be 5 minutes from now. Like, oh yeah. But what's the message that you have in your wisdom right now? Knowing, especially for the Tina that's gonna be building that vision, right? This is for you and you alone. What do you need to hear? What might you need to hear? And just say
that I matter.
Can you talk to yourself?
Yeah, that you want me to talk to myself as
just like this.
All right, Tina, you matter. The ideas that you have are going to change the world, and I know that you're terrified of doing it all because you don't have all the answers. But you need to make this happen. The world needs you.
And so it is. Leave it at that there. That's just for you, but
That was
I
really cool.
appreciate you. Yeah, absolutely. I truly appreciate you. I thank you for being you. Thank you for bringing your visions to life. I'm excited for this next vision that you have. We'll end it here, and we'll also. I say we'll end it here. But I'm like, we'll just continue in the next iteration from here. All right.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tina.
We're just getting started. Take 10 seconds to think about your greatest insight from today's conversation. And if you're ready to go and bring this to a deeper, more applicable level for you, come and join us in an upcoming masterclass. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass to be coached live and to bring your aspirations, your goals, and your challenges and have them handled in real time. This is high flame, high impact, high transformation. Go to outliersedge.com/masterclass and come experience your next level of leadership.